Right now, the world's most important waterway is on fire. Ships are burning, oil prices are exploding, and the entire global economy is holding its breath. But here's what nobody is telling you. This has happened before, many times. For over 3,000 years, empires have lived and died by this 33-kilometer strait. This is the complete history of the Strait of Hormuz. Long before oil was discovered, before tankers and warships, the Strait of Hormuz was already one of the most valuable pieces of water on Earth. The ancient Persians were the first to understand its power. They named it after their supreme god, Ahura Mazda, the Lord of Wisdom and Light. In Middle Persian, Ahura Mazda became Hormuz, and so this narrow strip of water was given a divine name. Because the Persians understood something that took the rest of the world centuries to learn. Whoever controls this strait controls the world. As early as 300 BC, Persian merchant ships were sailing through Hormuz, loaded with spices, silk, and precious metals from India. The strait was the gateway between East and West, the single point where the riches of Asia entered the Mediterranean world. Lose control of Hormuz, and your entire economy collapses. Control it, and you control the world's trade. But the Persians weren't the only ones who understood this. Far to the west, a young Macedonian king was watching, and he wanted it all. Alexander the Great conquered Persia in 330 BC. Cities fell, armies collapsed. But Alexander wasn't just a conqueror, he was a strategist. And he knew that controlling land wasn't enough. You had to control the water. He sent his admiral Nearchus on a legendary voyage through the Persian Gulf, specifically to map and control the Strait of Hormuz. Nearchus sailed for months through unknown waters, mapping every coastline, every depth, every danger. Alexander understood something most conquerors never did. Economic power flows through chokepoints. He who controls the narrow passage controls the empire. Alexander died in 323 BC before he could fully exploit Hormuz. But the lesson he left behind was never forgotten. Every empire that came after him would fight for the same 33 kilometers of water. For centuries after Alexander, the strait changed hands between empires. The Parthians controlled it, then the Sassanids. Each dynasty understood the same lesson. Hormuz was worth more than any city, any gold mine, any army. In the 7th century, the Islamic Caliphate swept through Persia and took control of the Gulf. Under Arab rule, Hormuz became the most important trading port in the entire Muslim world. Arab merchants built an island city directly in the strait, and it became one of the wealthiest places on Earth. Medieval travelers described merchants from China, India, Africa, and Europe all meeting in a single marketplace. By the 1300s, the island city of Hormuz was so wealthy that the great traveler Ibn Battuta called it one of the most magnificent cities he had ever seen. Merchants paid fortunes just for the right to anchor in its harbor. The Sultan of Hormuz was one of the richest rulers in the world, not because of armies or land, but because of 33 kilometers of water. Then the Europeans arrived, and everything changed. In 1498, a Portuguese sailor named Vasco da Gama rounded the southern tip of Africa and reached India by sea. For the first time in history, European ships could bypass the Strait of Hormuz entirely. The Arab and Persian merchants who controlled Hormuz were terrified. Their entire business model was collapsing, and they were right to be afraid. In 1507, the Portuguese admiral Afonso de Albuquerque arrived at Hormuz with a fleet of warships. He demanded the Sultan submit to Portuguese control. When the Sultan refused, Albuquerque burned the city to the ground. Within a decade, Portugal controlled the strait, the first European power to do so. But Portugal could not hold it forever. In 1622, the Persian Shah Abbas made an unexpected alliance with the British East India Company. The British provided warships and cannons. The Persians provided soldiers. Together, they expelled Portugal from Hormuz in one of history's earliest examples of a Western Middle Eastern military alliance. Control of Hormuz had passed again, as it always had, as it always would. For centuries, Hormuz was important because of trade: spices, silk, gold. Then in 1908, everything changed forever. Oil was discovered in Persia. Suddenly, the Strait of Hormuz wasn't just an important trade route, it was the most strategically vital piece of water on Earth. The Persian Gulf sat on top of the largest oil reserves in human history, and every drop of that oil had to pass through one place. During World War II, Allied forces occupied Iran specifically to protect the oil supply. Without Persian Gulf oil, the Allied war machine would have ground to a halt. Hitler knew this. His entire North Africa strategy was partly designed to eventually cut off Allied oil supplies through the Gulf. After the war, America dominated the Gulf. American oil companies struck deals with Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the Gulf states. The U.S. Navy patrolled the strait. For decades, Hormuz was an American lake. Then came 1979. The Iranian Revolution overthrew the American-backed Shah. Overnight, the most powerful country on the Persian Gulf became America's most dangerous enemy, and that enemy sat directly on the Strait of Hormuz. Iran understood immediately what this meant. Hormuz was their greatest weapon. Not nuclear bombs, not missiles, just geography. In the 1980s, Iran and Iraq went to war. Both sides attacked oil tankers in the Persian Gulf. The world watched as supertankers carrying millions of barrels of oil burned in the Gulf. The United States intervened, sending the Navy to escort tankers through the strait. But here's the dark secret nobody talks about. While America was publicly fighting Iran in the Gulf, the Reagan administration was secretly selling weapons to Iran behind the scenes. The Iran-Contra affair. America was simultaneously fighting Iran and arming Iran, all to control what happened in this 33-kilometer strait. In 1988, the USS Samuel B. Roberts struck an Iranian mine. America responded with Operation Praying Mantis, destroying 2 Iranian oil platforms and sinking half of Iran's navy in a single day. It remains the largest American naval battle since World War II. Iran backed down, but they never forgot. And for the next 40 years, every time tensions rose, Tehran made the same threat: close Hormuz, strangle the world's oil supply. It was always a threat until 2026. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel struck Iran. Supreme Leader Khamenei was killed, and Iran did what it had threatened to do for 40 years. It closed the Strait of Hormuz. For the first time in history, the world's most important waterway was shut. Oil prices exploded, economies trembled, ships burned. The ancient Persians named this strait after their god. Alexander the Great fought for it. The British Empire built its power around it. The United States has defended it for decades, and right now, nobody controls it. 3,000 years of history, one strait, 33 kilometers. The same battle has been fought since 300 BC, and today the whole world is watching it happen again. Subscribe to Mythic Whispers Studio for more ancient history that explains today's world.